s'arrête. Roule, le premier club auto qui profite à tous, à condition de ne pas passer à côté.
Welcome to Monza and the final weekend of the 60th season of Renault One Make Racing. After 8 epic rounds, we still have 13 titles to be decided here this weekend at Monza, at the Temple of Speed, including the overall series championship. The objective for Gael Castelli is simple: win the race, or there is no hope of the championship, with a 99-point lead for David Pouget going into this finale. Drop scores have been applied. They cannot be taken at this final round, so the scores that have been dropped will stay that way. And it will be David Pouget with the advantage in terms of the championship and in terms of the grid position as well, as he goes from the third row of the grid with Gael Castelli down in ninth. Let's go through the grid. It's Rangoni Corsa's Anthony Gerardo, who starts on pole position, ahead of the British champion Nicky Taylor from GPA Racing, Alexander Finkelstein, his teammate, in third, then Ben Colburn in fourth position, David Pouget, the champion in waiting, in fifth, ahead of Francesco Pagano. Gabriele Torelli lines up in seventh ahead of Alex Angelotti, then Gael Castelli, Stefani Ronnie in 10th position, Axel Bengston ahead of Sam Gornall on the sixth row of the grid. Then comes Dara Flock, the Irishman, ahead of Giacomo Trebi, Nicola Milan down in 15th position with Vladimir Lobachev for company on row 8, Loic Labeda and Mariano Alonso on row 9. Just behind them comes Thomas Kampan, Eric Knudsen, Nikola Tosic, the pseudonymed Horn, Mauro Polderman, who brought out the red flags in qualifying, Damio Puccetti in 24th. And we have Navajo, Andreas Stuckey for his eponymous team, Pierluigi Sturla ahead of Adam Sasha, then Stefan Neves, Louis Gehin down in 30th position, Eric Borsani, Rolando Bordacini, Laurent Diadis, Yusuf Garba, Stefan Polderman, and Gael Rostant in 36th. We keep going down to Michel Fay, Andrea Chirichetti, Gabriel Alonso, and Udo Brunner, completing what is a slightly shortened 40-car grid. Looks like Philip Kuntzer won't be joining us on the grid for this one after he also had some dramas in qualifying. You can hear some of the cars still making their way to the pre-grid. But it'll be 25 laps, 25 minutes plus 1 lap of racing to come. And yes, in the overall series championship, it looks like it's going to go David Pouget's way, but in the junior classification, only 2 points separating Damiano Puccetti and Mauro Polderman, who we mentioned did bring out those red flags in qualifying, so a little bit of work for him to do from 23rd on the grid and 9th of the junior cars. And it's even closer in the challenger classification with Ben Colburn, only 1 point ahead of Philip Kuntzer. But as we said, Philip doesn't seem like he's made it to the grid in that number 69 car from Milan competition. Hopefully that is not the case. And we will see Philip have a crack at this race. Of course, we'll know when we do actually get underway. Of course, other championships to be decided as well in mid-Europe, with Alexander Finkelstein leading the way there ahead of Aurélien René. The junior classification as well. Sam Gornall, Mauro Polderman also fighting for that one. And Philip Kuntzer fighting for the challenger class there. We also have Clio Cup Italia. Gael Castelli, if he does lose out on the overall championship, is very nicely poised in the Italian championship. As is Damiano Puccetti for the junior classification in that one. And then in the Spanish championship, because we do have Italy, Mid-Europe and Spain joining the series for this final meeting of the season. It was the French Championship that was wrapped up last time out in Paul Ricard. But in the Spanish Championship, Gabriele Torelli could make Clio Cup history here. Could be the first driver to win all 5 Clio Cup Championships, having won the Series last year and the French Championship, the Mid-Europe Championship in 2023, and the Italian Championship the year before that as well. So could be a monumental day for the 34-year-old Italian from Rangoni Corsa. Because this time last year, it was him taking the overall honours in a rather epic battle for the championship. In fact, we've had one of the championships decided before we've even got started. So the Challengers Championship in the Spanish series goes to Loic Labeda because Yokeshwaran Krishnavelu is not starting this one, has had to withdraw due to illness. We wish Yokeshwaran well, but a shame that he wasn't able to fight for those honours. It was going Loic Labeda's way with a significant 31-point lead in the championship, but nonetheless, you always want to see the drivers actually compete for the honours. So, well, 1 down, 12 to go still over the course of the 2 races here, as we're now on to the formation lap. And it will be Anthony Gerardo who leads the field on this formation lap. Other championships that can be decided today as well. We talked about the Mid-Europe Championship overall. Alexander Finkelstein, very well placed there with a 48-point lead. And of course, it's 50 per win. So unless Aurélien René wins and Finkelstein has some dramas, I think we can consider that one pretty much closed. So as the cars make their way onto the formation lap, putting some energy into the Michelin tyres, we can hear the rumble of the 1.3-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. And they made their way through the 5-speed sequential gearbox. The track here at Monza has seen quite a bit of action today already, with plenty of GT and single-seater competition. There might be some dust still out there on the road that the drivers are going to be exploring. But it will be Anthony Gerardo, the 31-year-old from Champion. This is in Imola, in Magny-Cours and Valencia. Of course, squad. It's young Nicky Taylor, the 21-year-old, former Mini Challenge race in that bright yellow, black and red Pouget's squad. Last time out in Paul Ricard as well. Young Nicky going to add a 5th win to his campaign. Let's keep an eye out for Ben Colburn as well. It's another British with Nicky Taylor. And then David Pouget having of the series as well. So he comes here on good form. Benedicte. A bit of the predominantly white and red 17 car from GPA Racing. Keep an eye out for Alex Finkel, largely white. Number 55 of Ben Colburn, a white-nosed car from GPA Racing. 12 titles plus 1 lap races to and the finale in Monza is underway. Good start there from Anthony to go through the middle. In fact, he's already got it. For a moment there, a couple of cars going round and taking the escape road. More cars off the road than actually Kane. We may well need a safety car to extract a car that advantage going into the second Scuderia Venancio team. Rise up the order and move into second position. I'm afraid it's Loic Labeda, having just been crowned. His title rival could not start the run. He would have wanted to start things off, but look, it's Contact taking the escape road as well. So an awful lot of hustled, red logoed car, which are in the 22 that got a We have a moment of wounds as well. Giacomo Trebbi, we could see there with damaged in second position. Alex Finkel's too many dramas there in from 15th up to 6th. Just showing position in what was just a few corners of green flag racing. Actually, he's up into 8th position. So he managed to get away. Then it is Alex Lancialotti, challenger classification. Of course, Ben Colburn was leading that championship by just... So although he wasn't on our graphic at the start of the program, he has actually started this race. He's currently in 32nd place overall and ahead of Colburn as well by 1 position in the class. So that can make all the difference by tomorrow. Brilliant stuff. Where was he in the championship going into... I'm looking at the other Lancialotti. In a form at the moment, the 38-year-old, who's also Gael Castelli, second in the last 3 races in the Italian Championship. Our toes for this penultimate race of the season. Sam Gornall also currently running 3rd in the junior classification. And Sam Gornall in classification there, so should be on course for a good result if it were to end like this, but something tells me that's not going to be the case. Axel Bengston, second of the Challenger cars at the moment in the 50-car champion. Flurry of junior class cars between Bengston and his nearest class rival, which is Alonso, who I think is having his first outing. Astonishingly, somehow, is the only casualty in all of that melee on the first lap. The only one who isn't still circulating, which is astonishing. They build them tough, these Clio Cup cars, evidently. So Gerardo will be leading the field, going for his 4th win of the season, remember. And then who's in his 3rd year of competing in the Italian Championship of the Clio Cup Series. So that is the sort of bluey-green, turquoisey car that's in 2nd position. It's starting to pick up the pace now a little bit. Some cars still carrying that damage, but there is Gerardo backing the pack up now and waiting to find the opportune moment to put his foot to the floor and get this race back underway. We've spent about 8 minutes or so under safety car in this race, but be about 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go when Gerardo, who by the sounds of it has already put his foot to the floor, and when he gets to the timing line, and that's a good restart. He's pulled 2 or 3 car lengths over Francesco Pagano there. Will it be enough by the time they get down to the Rettifilio? We're going to find out shortly, because Gerardo is all up 2 of those car lengths. Is he about to make it a 3rd as well when he tries to pull out of the slipstream? And he's tucked in behind the wheel tracks there of Anthony Gerardo. 1 car going onto the grass at the Rettifilio. But thankfully he's keeping out of everyone's way. So it is still Gerardo who leads Pagano. Try and make out which car that was. I think it was the 48 potentially of Nico Milan that went straight across the first chicane there. Very unlike Milan to make that kind of a mistake. Still Gerardo who leads, but here comes Pagano on the inside, leaning on those Brembo brakes and those front Michelin tyres, and he takes the lead brilliantly into the Della Roggia. And now the floodgates could open for Anthony Gerardo, because here comes Finkelstein. They touch on the way going into the first Lesmo. Very well held there from Finkelstein, as it's side by side as well between Gerardo and Nicky Taylor by the looks of it. Not Gerardo, sorry, Gabriele Torelli and Taylor. And so is the other Rangoni Corsa car. That is trying to usurp and has successfully usurped not only the championship leader, but also the GB champion, and potentially now up into 4th position. But there is Pagano, and pulling clear as Finkelstein again getting very squirrely under brakes, this time into Ascari. Side by side, further back, and that is the 96 going around of Sam Gornall, one of the championship contenders, gravel strewn across the racetrack. And that was contact, I think, with the number 11 of Nikola Tosic, potentially. And there's more dramas as well, because one of the sister Rangoni cars, I think, has gone off potentially in sympathy as well. But Sam Gornall, who was going for the junior championship in the Mid-Europe classification, we've got a safety car again. So we are yet to actually get a proper lap of green flag racing in this one. I know Monza tends to bring out the elbows in a lot of drivers because there's so many opportunities to overtake. But what a shame. And it's Horn is one of the cars that is beached in the gravel. See the front Michelins spinning away there. Now we're going to see what happened again, and so keep an eye on the red car, and it's contact with the with Nicola Milan it was, sorry. So my goodness me, it's side by side in Ascari, and that's what spun Sam Gornall round. And then, well, drivers just cannot see where they're going because there's so much dust. I'm amazed there aren't more cars in the wall. And so anybody who's had an off there as a result of it, frankly, just couldn't see where on earth they were going. And there was probably a few who went into the back of people who were taking it a bit more cautiously there. And so that incident, unsurprisingly, is under investigation. So the safety car back out for the second time in this race, but this time with Francesco Pagano leading the field. Top junior class driver as well, as we mentioned. Gerardo in second, Finkelstein still in third position. Remember, they had that touch going into this corner. Gabriele Torelli now up into 4th position. That is a monster effort from Torelli. He's done so much in a very short space of time. We really haven't been green for that long, and to have risen up the order as Torelli has, that's astonishing. Even just in the few corners we had there, it was made up 4 or 5 places, I think. And so Nicky Taylor now down to 5th position, with Gael Castelli now ahead of his championship rival in 6th position. Pouget down to 7th, but that is not enough to keep the championship aligned. Castelli must win this race at a bare minimum in order to keep the championship hopes alive. And he's also got to hope that Pouget has some sort of drama. 99 points the difference, 50 for a win. And there's still a lot of gravel on the racing line, but the cars will carve their racing line through that pretty quickly. And they better hope they do, because the safety car's coming in. The lights are off. And it's now going to be down to Francesco Pagano to decide when is the right moment to go. I think he's already decided. I think he hasn't even thought about bunching the pack up. He's just gone for it and pulled 5, 6, 7 cars lengths over Anthony Gerardo. So great stuff from Pagano there. 10 minutes plus a lap to go as we go back to green flag racing. And Finkelstein looks like the aggressor in that number 23 car from GPA Racing, going up against the Rangoni Corsa Run Gerardo car. He's got the reigning champion not too far behind him as well. Here comes Finkelstein to the outside. These two have already touched in this race, but Gerardo with a lot of confidence on the brakes going into the Rettifilio. There's Nicky Taylor. There's Gael Castelli and David Pouget right behind him as well. Making their way round the Grand Curve. It's Alex Langelotti, the lead challenger car, and then Maro Polderman, who's come up from the, the 14th row of the grid to now up into 10th position and 4th of the juniors. That is a remarkable effort for the junior championship contender. Trying to take the fight to Damiano Puccetti in this one. And it's Puccetti who's actually the next car in the junior classification. 3 cars back in 12th position. Oh, a couple of more cars skipping through the gravel on the exit of the second Lesmo. We've seen that plenty of times throughout the course of the weekend. A few mirrors that have been casualties in this one. Frankly, I'm amazed it hasn't been worse. But look at this, Gerardo and Finkelstein potentially working together a little bit here to try and close down that gap to Pagano once again as they carve a line through the gravel that was kicked up by Sam Gornall, who has restarted this race. He's had a little trip into the pits, but was able to rejoin the safety car queue, but he's down in 39th place at the moment. Torelli closing in on Finkelstein as well. He's in a Rangoni Corsa sandwich. And remember last year, Gerardo and Torelli working together so well in so many of these races. That is what made the difference for them and what made them consistent race victors and challengers for the championship. But Pagano now is the one who's weaving across the track to try and break the toe. But Finkelstein hoovering up. You can't even see Gabriele Torelli. He's so close behind Finkelstein. There he is. That number 1 car finally comes into view. But Finkelstein doesn't have enough to outbrake Gerardo, but suddenly they're right on the back of the race leader again, who had, what, a second at the timing line, and it's now absolutely nothing when they come out of the chicane. There's Nicola Milan. He's under investigation, don't forget, after an extraordinary start to this race for him as well. But that contact with Sam Gornall will be looked at by the stewards. 7 minutes plus 1 lap to go, and is Gerardo going to make a move and retake the race lead? Pagano sees it coming. Gerardo locks up. He's going to run deep into the chicane. A couple of cars taking liberties with the curbs at the Della Roggia, but nothing doing in the end, with Pagano hanging on to the lead. And Gerardo, despite that lockup, not running too deep into the corner. There's Gael Castelli in that 127 car from Milan competition. Remember, his first year in Clio Cup competition, and he's been fighting for the championship. It's been an extraordinary year. He can still win the Italian championship, of course, adding on to his accolades in French GT4 and various other competitions, as we've got Dara Flock dipping 2 wheels into the gravel, but adding on to Castelli's Alpine Elf Cup championship as well, Carrera Cup France, and the Peugeot Cup as well. Out of Ascari once again. They very quickly cleared a lot of the gravel just themselves as Pagano leads them and hugging the right-hand side of the racetrack. Some of them even taking the grass. They're so laser-focused on where the car in front is. And Gerardo's actually got into the back of Pagano, I think. There was a little squirm there. And Gerardo now with a lunge on the inside into the Alboreto curve. They lean on each other ever so slightly. Finkelstein tight to the inside, takes both of them on the exit of the corner. Here comes Gabriele Torelli as well. The floodgates have opened for Pagano, who was in the lead a couple of 100 meters ago. He's now down in 4th, maybe even 5th position. So Gerardo lost out to Finkelstein, and there are the 2 teammates working together, with the reigning champion giving a bump draft to Gerardo down the start and finish straight, as Alex Ancelotti sets the fastest lap of the race to close in on these guys as well. And so it is now Gerardo who leads, cocking a wheel through the first corner. It's a Rangoni Corsa 1-2 with Finkelstein in 3rd position for GPA Racing. Extraordinary bit of teamwork there, as here comes Gael Castelli trying to put a couple more cars between himself and his title rival as he goes around the outside of Nicky Taylor at the Grand Curve. Here comes Finkelstein again. Pagano trying to retake a couple of those places in 4th position. Lock up there from Nicky Taylor. He had Castelli alongside him. They made their way through the second chicane up towards the Lesmo, and it is Finkelstein demoted to 4th, but it's the Alex Lancelotti car that has arrived on the scene and already started usurping some of the cars in front of it. Another of the GPA racing cars from David Pouget's team, and he's cleared Castelli. So he's going to make his boss very happy by doing that. Down the back straight we go once again. Battles happening all the way through the field. There's the Ronnie Stefani car we just saw. So close between the teammates here into Ascari. Just under 4 minutes plus a lap to go. And more cars making a lot of noise with the gravel, although I'm sure a lot of it is buried in the curbs, and they're not necessarily getting into the gravel traps. So Gerardo leads, going for his fourth win of the season. Torelli going for his fifth. But Gerardo's actually managed to pull a few car lengths down that straight. Pagano, meanwhile, on the back of the reigning champion. That was Finkelstein getting a little sideways on the exit of the corner. That will invite Alex Lancelotti, the challenge leader, to try and close him down. Here we go again, down the start-finish straight, getting closer between the teammates with Gabriele Torelli on the back of Gerardo, but not challenging by the looks of it, just protecting him. But look at Finkelstein around the outside. He's managed to take third from Pagano. Can he take second as well? No, he can't. Torelli's got that one covered off, but he was able to get around Pagano. And here comes Lancelotti as well, trying to take fourth position as well from the 24-year-old Italian. Nicky Taylor just in the wheel tracks there with Castelli at the back of this. Then David Pouget just falling off the back of this lead train of cars now of about 7 drivers. Torelli having to defend to the inside. Pagano taking third place back from Finkelstein with a big move on the inside of the Della Roggia chicane, and very nearly got into the side of Torelli there as well, but well controlled on the left foot. I said Pouget was falling off the back of this train. It takes one corner and suddenly he isn't, because he's now right on the back of his nearest title rival once again. We've got yellow flags at the first couple of corners. Hopefully we won't need a safety car now, because I fear that is how things would end. Oh, I've jinxed it. I've jinxed it. We've got a safety car, and that is because of contact between the 73 of Andrea Chirichetti, who's in the wall after a touch there with Vladimir Lobachev by the looks of it. Yes, it was. So they both end up on the inside of the second corner. And, into the barriers as well for Chirichetti. And it looks like they're both stuck in the gravel, but a thumbs up, though, that's always good to see. But unfortunately, that could be the end of proceedings here, with only a minute plus 1 lap left to go. Depends on how quickly they can extract those cars from the gravel, but as a pessimist, I would suggest that we will end under safety car conditions, sadly. So if it were to end like this, David Pouget would be the Clio Cup Series champion of 2025, of course. Gabriele Torelli, I think, can wrap up the Italian championship with this one. Ahead of Alex Lancelotti, I think would be second, be 1-2 again for the 4th consecutive race. As it stands, get confirmation of that later on. We are now on the penultimate lap of the race, as the clear-up at the first chicane is underway. That incident is under investigation. You can see the low loader's already on site. It might well be only the one car we have to clear. If we're very lucky and we get a quick extraction, we might just squeeze 1 lap out of this, and that would be a grandstand finish here at Monza. Still one more race to come here this weekend, the grand finale. And the end of the 60th season of competition of Renault one-make competition. So 35 years of the Clio Cup as well. dates back to 1991. Alex Finkelstein set to clinch the Mid-Europe Championship after those dramas for Sam Gornall. And Aurélien René is not here this weekend, is he? So Sam Gornall was the only driver who could deny Alex Finkelstein, I think, for the Mid-Europe Championship. And so it looks like we'll wrap up the series and the overall standings, but the Italian Championship looks like we'll have to wait till tomorrow. And Gabriele Torelli, I think, can wrap up Spain, though, with those dramas for Nicola Milan. Well, actually, not quite sure on that one, because he's in 12th position overall as it stands. Safety car in this lap. We are going to squeeze one more lap out of it. Forget everything I've said, because we're going to squeeze one more lap of racing out of this one. This could be an explosive finish to the first race of the weekend for the Clio Cup Series. And so Gerardo leading Torelli. He'll be very grateful to have not so much a rear gunner there, because he is the reigning champion, but someone he knows is not going to do anything stupid. A great restart. So one lap to go then in the Clio Cup Series. It's Anthony Gerardo who leads at Rangoni Corsa 1-2, with Gabriele Torelli in second, Francesco Pagano in third position, but that could all change when we get down to the Rettifilio for the first time of asking on this third restart here. Popping out of the slipstream is Alex Finkelstein in fourth position. Here comes Pagano, he breaks too deep. He has to go across the chicane. He tried to take Torelli. I thought for a second he was going to have Gerardo as well, but he's gone in too deep, and he is going to have to rejoin. He comes out ahead, but he's going to have to try and slot back in, and Gerardo trying to go around the outside of him. There was a little bit of miscommunication there, and that could open up the door for Finkelstein to at least take second against Gabriele Torelli. He'll be on the outside line when they get down to the Della Roggia chicane, though, but with a clear line of braking, he might just be able to get this one done. He's going to brave it out around the outside. Torelli way up on two wheels. So was Finkelstein there at the second apex. Brilliant racing. Pagano being squeezed onto the grass. So was Taylor, and Taylor gets into the back of Torelli now as well. Off goes Pagano again, this time into the gravel through the first Lesmo. So that surely is going to be his hopes dashed now for a victory in this huge scrap on the final lap here. Gerardo doesn't care about any of this, though. He's got a good few car lengths to Alex Finkelstein, but can he close up with just a few corners to go? Two more braking zones into Ascari and then into the Alboreto curve. Here comes Nicky Taylor on Gabriele Torelli, taking third position away from the reigning champion. Great stuff from the youngster, and he's got two wheels in the gravel though, and the champion takes it straight back. No, he cuts across as well. Here comes Castelli. Oh, they made contact on the exit. Castelli nearly in the wall. Pouget nearly went with him as well. Extraordinary stuff. We've got a car facing the wrong way. It's the 51 of Axel Bengtsson though. Thankfully, everyone has been able to avoid it, but here comes the top two. One braking zone to go. Can Alex Finkelstein take it at the line here? Gerardo holds it tight to the inside into the final corner. It's going to be a drag to the checkered flag, but surely it's just going to be Gerardo for a fourth victory of the season. He's weaving across the track though. There is the checkered flag. It's going to be a bit of a photo finish. I think it's just Gerardo. Yes, it is, by only 0.05 of a second for victory in race one of the Clio Cup Series. An extraordinary end to this first race of the weekend. He manages to take his fourth victory of the season as Alex Finkelstein wraps up the Mid-Europe Championship as well. And David Pouget in sixth position is also the 2025 Clio Cup Series champion. What a finish. What an extraordinary finish. Anthony Gerardo, the victor here for Rangoni Corsa. Let's see it all unfold again. There's Pagano. already making his way off the circuit as Taylor and Torelli were getting into each other. That was the moment that his hopes and dreams of a podium were dashed. Hasn't finished on the overall podium in the series yet, has Pagano, I don't believe. Extraordinary stuff. And that was Torelli getting all over. Look at Castelli, though, in the blue and yellow car. I don't know how on earth he managed to gather that one. Not everyone managed to make it through, because Bengtsson didn't. There was more dramas on the last lap there as well, with Rolando Bordaccini getting into the barriers on the inside. There we can see the remnants of the barrier damage as well. Goodness me, so much to keep on top of. Let's go through the results. It's Anthony Girardot with a 4th win of the season by just 0.05 of a second to Alex Finkelstein, who is the Mid-Europe champion of 2025. Then Gabriele Torelli, Gael Castelli, Nicky Taylor, David Pouget in 6th position, wraps up the Clio Cup Series championship. Maro Polderman, 2nd in the junior classification to Nicky Taylor, and Thomas Campan completing the podium there. Alex Lancelotti taking the Challenger honours in 9th position ahead of Nicola Milan. Francesco Pagano, 11th in the end ahead of Stefani Roni, Nicola Tosic, Damiano Puccetti and Dara Flock inside the 15. Mariano Alonso, Louis Gehin, Andreas Stuckey, Stefan Polderman, taking the gentleman honours in 19th position overall ahead of Giacomo Trebi, Eric Borsani, Eric Knudsen, Philipp Kuntzer, Laurent Diadis, Ben Colburn, Navajo, Adam Sasha, Yusuf Gaba, Gael Rostan and Michelle Fay inside the top 30. We still have 6 more finishes beyond there from a 41 starting grid. And that was Stefan Neves, Vladimir Lobachev, Pierluigi Sturger, Udo Brunner, Gabriel Alonso and Rolando Bordaccini. As the cars make their way back into the paddock, as the top 3 will make their way to Parc Ferme. Looks like we have the Italian Challengers classification sorted as well, with Alex Lancelotti, who of course won the Challenger classification in this race. And that looks to now be settled as well ahead of Giacomo Trebi. We'll get confirmation of that. But well done to Nicky Taylor, who takes a 2nd junior class victory of the season after his 1st win last time out in Paul Ricard. So back-to-back victories for the 21-year-old Briton. Great stuff from him, with Thomas Campan joining him on the podium, and Maro Polderman as well after a epic recovery drive, the reigning Mid-Europe Junior champion for Alejandro and Adrian Schimp's team. Alex Lancelotti taking a 4th win in the Challenger class this season, adding on to Imola Misano and Paul Ricard. But there is Anthony Girardot celebrating with the team. There is David Pouget celebrating his 6th Clio Cup Series title. It was only a few weeks ago in Paul Ricard where he was celebrating his Clio Cup France Championship, and now celebrating the Clio Cup Series title as well. Looks like we also have the Mid-Europe Challengers classification crowned as well in favour of Aurélien René, because Philipp Kuntzer had to withdraw from that race. So just getting the news on the various championships as and when we receive them. So we have managed to wrap up a couple today as we soak in the celebrations for Alex Finkelstein as well, with an epic 2nd place finish. Anthony Girardot on top once again here. You can hear the celebrations for presumably David Pouget as well. Top honours again for Anthony Gerardo. Gabriele Torelli, his teammate, joining him on the podium. It's a double podium finish for the Italian squad, the Luca and Michael Rangoni-led team. Apologies in advance for any colourful Italian language. But that's all from race 1 here in the Clio Cup Series. The final race of 2025 to come tomorrow afternoon.
Si on vous demande le nom d'un club auto qui rembourse votre franchise en cas d'accident, vous pensez à qui? Roule prend le relais là où votre assurance auto s'arrête. Roule, le premier club auto qui profite à tous, à condition de ne pas passer à côté.